Anthropic is now saying that Claude Code subscribers will need to pay extra for OpenClaw usage. So this is kind of a funny story, and there's been lots of developments with OpenClaw, Claude Cowork, all that stuff. So we're going to get into it today. Before we do, Jaeden, why don't you tell them about our school community?
Yes, every single week we record a bonus video that we put only over on our school community. Last week we actually recorded a whole video, which was my personal Claude Cowork walkthrough, how I use the tool. And this week we just recorded another one, which is how since last night to this morning, spoiler alert, I was up from 3 a.m. till now, how I started a brand new company using Claude Cowork. I walked through all of the steps I basically took to start this company. I also walked through what the business is, some of the revenue and ideas on how to grow that. So if that sounds interesting to you, how I start a new business from zero to basically ready to go in one evening, one day, however you want to classify 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. this morning, go check out that latest video. The link's in the description to the AI Hustle School community. It's $19 a month. We share all of the juicy insider tips we don't post anywhere else. All right, let's get into what's going on with Anthropic here. I think there's a lot happening with Anthropic. I basically have converted from using ChatGPT as my daily driver for the last 3 years to exclusively using Claude, and not even just the chat. I mean, that just kind of comes along with it, but I'm mostly using Claude Cowork and Claude Code because I'm building websites, software, tools, and some of them, it's not even like I'm just building a new quote unquote business, but I literally will build a software to automate something inside of my business. For example, AI Box, or for example, this podcast. I built an entire podcast tool that all I have to do with this AI Hustle podcast is drop the audio file in. It automatically generates the show notes, the title, the description. I can get the schedule. It basically does everything for me, enhances the audio. So I think this is going to be more and more popular. But Anthropic did something dirty. They did the world dirty, according to everyone on Twitter anyways, by forcing anyone that is not on Claude Code or Claude Cowork to pay extra for their subscription if they're using their tool for something like OpenClaw. And I'm trying to remember, Jamie, did you ever get around to trying OpenClaw?
I did not. Nope. I have the Mac Mini, but I decided I wanted to use it for my own stuff, and I'm using Mac Mini now, and I love it, but I'm not going to hook up OpenClaw to it.
Yeah.
I like the fact that Mac Mini can never sleep and doesn't use up too much energy. So I am going to be using Claude Cowork with it, but not OpenClaw. So
Yeah, and I think there's actually a lot of people that are basically in the same boat, but there is a lot of people still use OpenClaw. I actually posted about this on LinkedIn, and I got some mixed reactions. Some people were pretty disgruntled about this. Basically, what happens with Anthropic's their plans, they have a $20 plan, a $100 plan, and a $200 plan. Those are kind of the base plans that anyone can get. And above that, you can buy extra tokens. They just released a feature where you can now buy extra tokens, because before that, you're getting rate limited. So I was building last week, I built 2 websites from scratch, and their projects it was just maintenance for old businesses, stuff I had to do for a long time. I finally, because I had Claude Cowork, got 2 websites built, 1 software fully migrated to a new platform, which is basically like building it, and a brand new software. It was actually a vendor that I used for one of my businesses, and I paid a lot of money for them. And I just got Claude Cowork to clone it just for myself, and just canceled my subscription to that software vendor.
Nice.
So that was last week. I'm on it was like 2 softwares and 2 websites. This week I'm already blazing through on some new stuff, which is all in the school community. But anyways, they had their subscription tiers, and if you use too much in 1 hour, Claude Cowork has this issue where they will rate limit you. They're not going to let you keep using it. It's super annoying, whatever. But now they have like a feature where you can buy like bonus credits that when you get rate limited inside of an hour, it will use your bonus credits. I mean, Claude is really rinsing us for every penny they can get out of us. But like I mentioned last week, I've never been more productive in my life, and I would have spent thousands of dollars if I was paying people to do that. So whatever. But what's interesting is those subscriptions that you use to run Claude Code and Claude Cowork, the $100, $200, you get a certain amount of tokens. You used to be able to use that same account with OpenClaw. Now, the problem with it is those are actually very subsidized accounts. If you're paying $100, $200, and you're actively hitting the rate limits like every time, you're actually using about, I've heard estimates of 13,000, but I think it might be more like $1,300 in compute. So it's, $200 for you. You get $1,300 of compute out of it. It's a really good deal. But I think Anthropic just knows that, like, on average, Some people are going to need to like use it a ton, so that's why they're going to get like this rate limit ladder, which gets them up to the $200 tier. But maybe they only need it on like certain days, and then other days they're, maybe they only have a 4-day work week, and so 3 days of the week they're not using it, and so they kind of make their money back that way. They don't plan on people like me that use it 6 days a week, all day long and all night long from 3 a.m. So I'm losing the money, no doubt. But anyways, people that were using uh, OpenClaw, which is now purchased by OpenAI, they shut that off. You cannot use these kind of subsidized plans to buy that. Instead, you just have to use their API. So if you were using OpenClaw, what would cost you $200 on Claude Cowork is now going to cost you the full $1,300, and people are not happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, to me though, this makes complete sense. Like when we talk about AI slop and all this stuff, I think people were using OpenClaw to run like hundreds of agents at a time. I even saw this guy on Instagram. He had his like skill he would send you, and it would set you up with like a marketing department, a CFO, all these different agents, and then you could like watch it run, and it was like a 3D animation of like this game, obviously using tons of credits. You could if you were like some just teenager who hopped on and wanted, and it was like, make me a Spotify competitor, and then it's like running all these agents and using all these credits. That's never going to turn into anything actually profitable, most likely. And so really, I think at the end of the day, it's creating a lot of slop, a lot of used tokens, and a lot of wasted money for Claude, for some of these uh, Instagram punk kids who are doing these kind of business startups. I don't know. That's my thoughts. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's not far from the truth, if I'm being honest. I mean, you might even be able to classify a lot of what I build as that. But what I do think is true is Anthropic is trying to get users, and their revenue is growing like crazy. They're obviously on an absolute, historical tear. But at the same time, like they're subsidizing it, and they don't want to subsidize the entire internet, I think. So random people that are using OpenClaw to do random things, they don't really want to subsidize that. They'll subsidize their core users, because eventually maybe they increase the cost, or they give you less tokens, or like there's all sorts of things they can kind of do there. And if they keep people inside of their platform using their tools. But I think as soon as OpenAI purchased OpenClaw, it's like they were literally just subsidizing their competitor. They're like, we don't want to do that. Now, people can switch to Codex, and OpenAI has their own coding agent. I would say it's pretty good, not as good. Gemini also has one, pretty good, not as good. OpenClaw lets you pick any agent, and that's the amazing thing about OpenClaw. That's super cool. For now, I'm going with Claude Code and Claude Cowork because it's way more integrated and it's way easier, and I'm not a developer. And setting up OpenClaw is an absolute nightmare, if I'm being 100% honest. So I just use Claude Cowork because I am a basic person. But if you're really hardcore, go with OpenClaw. You probably can save money and set up a lot of cool stuff. And there's still tons of great models. OpenAI's Codex is going to crush it in OpenClaw. So I don't think it's going to be the end of the world, but a lot of people were pretty upset about it when this whole thing went down.
Moving forward, I think there's going to be a lot of changes because I know a lot of people who, formerly were just entrepreneurs that are now deep into Claude Cowork, AI agents, using these tools to build their businesses. So, I think as more and more people catch on, it'll kind of almost become like a prerequisite to being an entrepreneur is knowing how to use these tools and actually be, actively using them. So I think, usage is going to go up. And so just looking forward, they're having to find ways to throttle it and make sure it's not something that actually loses them money, but makes them money. I think Claude is going to actually end up earning more revenue than a lot of these other big AI companies because so many developers and entrepreneurs are using their software now and paying for it.
Yep, 100%. So at the end of the day, I'm excited to see where this goes. I love all of these agentic tools that actually help you get more stuff done. So I'm thrilled. I'm a huge fan. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, make sure to go check out the AI Hustle School community if you want to see what crazy adventures we are getting up to as far as growing and scaling our businesses and how you can do the same. All right, we'll catch you guys all in the next episode.